Rudy is the greatest mayor in the history of New York, and there's a reason. He's got great courage, and he doesn't care. He wants to do what's right. This is going to be your crowning achievement because you're saving our country.
Rudy Giuliani on Friday getting a shout out from the President of the United States, and he joins us right now once again. Great job, Mr. Mayor. Great to see you. Welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Thank you, Greg. Very nice to be back with you.
First off, the appellate ruling in Pennsylvania did not go your way, but I guess you kind of want it to not go your way because you want to get this thing to the Supreme Court right away?
Sure. I mean, what we wanted out of that case was a hearing so we could put our witnesses on. The judge wouldn't give us a hearing. The appellate court wouldn't give us a hearing. But we got our hearing with the state legislature. So, in essence, we accomplished the purpose of that case, and the Supreme Court can now take a look at it. But we wanted to get, finally, after all the censorship that's going on, we wanted to be able to show that we have evidence, and we have a lot of it. So we put 10 or 12 witnesses on who observed the fraud. They observed the counting of ballots multiple times, the same ballot being entered in a machine multiple times. They observed the complete isolation of the Republican inspectors for well over 600,000 ballots. And the only reason that was done is so that they could cheat. They didn't want to be observed cheating. We had witnesses that said that in one part of the state, if you made a mistake on the ballot, you could fix it. Other part of the state, the Republican part, you couldn't. Well, fixing it means committing forgery. When you fix a ballot after it's been submitted, there's kind of like forgery involved. And then you have this very strange situation where there are more ballots that were counted than were sent out by a couple 100,000. Now, how did that happen?
Well, Mr. Mayor, wait a second. You just said you have evidence. Mr. Mayor, you just said you have evidence, and I have been hearing from the mainstream media from the get-go that there is no evidence, that it's all unverified. And you made that point in the press conference last week. You've got affidavits. You've got hundreds of them. You unveiled some of the evidence at that hearing, and they continually say you have no evidence, and all of this is unsubstantiated.
Even after the hearing with the witness, three of them very, very distinguished careers in the military. One of them is a cyber expert who actually can testify to how information was being taken out of the machines. People, lawyers, doctors, I mean, people, very substantial people and very regular people. They're not going to put their names on an affidavit under penalty of perjury for something like this. I mean, the numbers are astounding. They cheated with over 700,000 votes.
You know, Mr. Mayor,
this is a big, big fraud. It's not little.
No.
And it happened the same way in 6 states. So now we're going to move on to Michigan and to Arizona and to Wisconsin and to Nevada and to Atlanta, Georgia, where the same thing happened.
When you file a lawsuit, by the way, and sometimes in court proceedings, you can have a hunch, you can have suspicion, you can have some evidence, but you bring it to a judge, and a judge can say, oh, you've got something here. And then it goes into a phase called discovery, if I'm not mistaken. A judge can...
Yeah, we have never had that. We were deprived of that by the judge. The judge just threw us out. He threw us out. He decided the claims weren't true. He just threw us out.
Again, when the media say, well, there's no evidence here, I mean, if you get a judge, and you will, like it would say, compel the other side to produce evidence. I mean, that can happen.
We'll get a judge like that, but right now we can't wait, so we're going directly to the legislatures. Look, the Constitution of the United States puts the selection of the president in the hands of the state legislature, not the governor, not the attorney general, but the state legislature. They set the rules, and they decide if the vote is correct. So we're going to each one of these state legislators, and we're saying, if you certify that vote, you're certifying a false statement. You're committing fraud, because that vote is not the right vote. Biden did not win the number of votes that he has attributed to him. Some of those votes he won by taking a ballot and putting it in a machine and counting it 5 times. So he would get 5 votes for every one that Trump got. And we've got witnesses to that in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, and in Arizona.
So that's the game plan.
They followed the same fraudulent patterns in the big cities where they control like dictators, where the Democrats have dictatorial control and plenty of corruption.
You know, it's wild. They keep accusing your side of waging a coup, and everything you're doing is totally legal, within bounds. The Electoral College has not convened. These things haven't been sent in yet, which I find ridiculous. So has your strategy shifted, though, to primarily a political one than a legal one? There's not enough time, perhaps, to get relief from the courts, so you're going right to the legislatures, all of them that you just mentioned, and basically trying to persuade them this happened. So electorally, when you guys get together, your electoral vote should not be allocated for Biden.
We're doing both with equal speed, enthusiasm, and taking advantage of which one gives us the hearing the quickest and which one will work fastest for us, because we don't have a lot of time. We've got a lot of evidence. We don't have a lot of time. And when we're facing a major censorship, so that it's very hard to get this information out to the public. Public has only a small idea of the kind of evidence that we have. You know, the situation in Michigan was worse than the situation in Pennsylvania. The situation in Wisconsin was outrageous. I mean, they have all these absentee ballots without applications. In Nevada, they used a machine that basically didn't work, and it let every signature go through, even though it's illegal to use a machine. I mean, they cheated in all the places that were critical to them. And you know they did, because Trump was way ahead on the night of the election. It's impossible that Biden would have come back at every single one of those places. Impossible.
Especially places like, well, you know, the 4 cities where he beat Hillary Clinton. Only 4 cities did he do better than Hillary, which is pretty wild. Milwaukee, Detroit, Atlanta, and Philadelphia happen to be key cities in great big swing states run by Democrats. I think there could be something there, don't you think?
Oh, there definitely is. They picked what you would call home field advantage. Home field advantage means cities that they've been running for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and they're crooked as heck. I mean, crooked from top to bottom, including some of the judges.
Mayor Giuliani, one other thing, you know, you prosecuted a lot of cases. I know you've had media watching some of those cases. Sometimes they've been in the courtroom. How much can they influence the events that are actually happening right now? Can it be overstated? Can it be understated, misunderstood? Because, you know, they're selling a narrative that is not in agreement with what you're putting out there. Can it be neutralized? Does it really matter in the end, or is it having an impact?
Oh, it definitely has an impact. I mean, for example, they cover the hearing in Philadelphia, or rather in Gettysburg, and they cover the part where the president calls in. They don't cover the 8 witnesses. If that were the other way around, if it were the presentation of witnesses against Donald Trump, every single one of those witnesses would be on for days, like they did during the Trump phony impeachment hearings.
Well, Mayor Giuliani, we covered the whole thing, but I will say this: we started the segment with the president's praise of you, because we just thought it was a nice moment. But we had the whole thing on TV.
Thank you, Greg. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. Best to Andrew Giuliani, the family, and our best wishes to the president.